Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania recently released its annual water quality report, and our water nerds looked through it so that you don't have to. Unfortunately, we found some major problems with lead contamination in Pittsburgh's drinking water. Lead enters tap water through old lead service pipes and lead-containing plumbing. The city reported test data from the months of June and December of 2017. Both of these reported concentrations either met or exceeded the federal action level of 15 parts per billion. In June of 2017, 10% of the sites sampled for lead met the action level of 15 parts per billion. In December of 2017, 10% of the sites sampled for lead were over 21 parts per billion, which is definitely in exceedance of the federal action level of 15 parts per billion. Additionally, Pittsburgh inaccurately listed the maximum contaminant level goal, or MCLG, for lead in drinking water. The report listed 15 parts per billion for the MCLG, but Environmental Protection Agency has determined that the MCLG for lead should always be 0 parts per billion. Houses built before 1986 were most likely built with lead plumbing and lead fixtures. Environmental Protection Agency, Center for Disease Control, and American Academy of Pediatrics all recognize that there is no safe level of lead for children, so a concentration as high as 21 parts per billion is very concerning. Lead exposure can cause developmental issues, lowered IQ, and damages to the kidneys and brain. We highly recommend taking advantage of Pittsburgh's free lead testing program. If you're a customer of Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority, you can request a free test kit by signing up online or by calling 412-255-2423. Pittsburgh Municipal Water also had very high levels of disinfection byproducts, or DBPs. DBPs form when chlorine-based disinfectants that are routinely added to the water supply react with organic matter. Concentrations of trihalomethanes averaged 56.3 parts per billion, but were detected as high as 105 parts per billion. Additionally, haloacetic acid concentrations averaged 18.8 parts per billion, but were detected as high as 36 parts per billion. For a bit of perspective, the EPA set a maximum contaminant level of 80 parts per billion for trihalomethanes and 60 parts per billion for haloacetic acids. Disinfection byproducts are a category of emerging contaminants, which means they have been detected in drinking water, but the risk to human health is unknown. Regulatory agencies have very little knowledge about the adverse health effects of DBPs and their toxicity. If you're interested in learning more about water filters that have been optimized for Pittsburgh's tap water, feel free to visit hydroviv.com to talk to a water nerd on our live chat feature. Or you can send us an email at hello@hydroviv.com. Thanks for watching.